Use stress to supersize you. Welcome to day 136 of our Supersize You annual challenge. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. We're focusing on mental health and well-being all this month. And so one of the topics that comes up, of course, is stress. Well, stress can be used in positive ways to motivate us to take action, to do the things we know we should do anyway. And that's the good kind of stress. The bad kind of stress is the stress that many of us are all too familiar with. The stress that makes our heart beat faster, keeps us up at night so that we lose sleep, has us in these mind spirals and loops that are just catastrophizing and making everything in the world, blowing it out of proportion and making it huge. So we talk about stress today. I also want to talk about and share a tool called the Lifeline exercise. I've shared it before. This is my visual aid lifeline exercise. It basically starts in the year that you're born, 1960. Remember those timelines we used to have in history class and in social studies when we were in school? Do they still teach social studies? I'm sure they call it something different. And then we want to put an arrow at the other end to keep moving. You can tell I started this in 2021 and using it as a visual aid. It's a well-worn, well-used visual aid. 2021, 22, 23, 24, 25, and I haven't added 26. I better do that because I'm not checking out this year. So all you do is you graph big events in your life. And big events are usually things that are tied to significant emotional things or thought processes, etc. And I think I shared how I believe now that I actually created my sudden cardiac arrest as a way to get out of a situations actually at the time that I felt way too overwhelmed in. And I kept telling myself I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know what to do. And the truth was I did know what to do. And I figured out a solution. And I'm here still to talk about it, which is, I think, a pretty powerful example of how we kind of map out and do everything in our life. We don't always believe it, but if we look back on our life, we can see so many instances of synchronicities that make no sense whatsoever. So what we're going to do is we're going to add mental health and well-being to our graph today. We're just going to do the main highlights and then think about at each of those checkpoints, what was I thinking? What were my beliefs? What was I feeling? How was I myself, how did I think, talk to, and feel about myself back during that event? And I think you'll pretty quickly realize that the things that you considered negative events were associated with negative thinking, false beliefs about ourselves, not being capable of figuring things out, things like that. All right. So do that today as an extra bonus. I'd like to add, I've got so many tools I want to cover and share every month. There's not enough days in the month. And so I'm doubling up a little bit with a topic and a tool. So this is a tool today. I like to do it on weekends because most of us have a little more freedom and time on weekends than we do on days of the week. You might have kids in school. You might have to go to your job, whatever it is. That's when I like to do it. If that does not work for you, will you please let me know in the comments below and I'll figure out a different way to do it. I want to make sure you're getting your needs met. All right, let's go back to talking about stress. I'm going to have a sip of coffee because it calms me down. What does that tell you about my brain if coffee actually relaxes and calms me down? I think we all know. So, use stress good. It's things that we're excited about. Here's the interesting thing. In our bodies, at least most of us function this way as humans, stress and fear vibrate at just about the same frequency. So if I want to turn a stressful situation around, all I have to do is get curious about it and excited. Curious about finding the solution to the stressful situation, or curious if I cannot let the stressful situation bother me. I'll give you an example. I have technological challenges a lot. Like my youngest granddaughter says, a lot. And in addition to that, I have vision challenges, literally physical vision challenges. I'm legally blind, and so I don't see very well, right? Literally, physically do not see very well. So when things change, and I'm trying to do them on my teeny tiny cell phone, like record Facebook videos, it used to just freak me out. You'd hear the Oppenheimer, you'd hear WTF, you'd hear me getting all frustrated. And a while back, I realized that was not helping me solve the problem at all. If anything, it was making it worse. And as soon as I calmed down and just said, okay, well, how else can I make this possible, the thing I'm trying to do? I always find a way, sometimes faster than others, but I always find a way. So why am I going to get all stressed out about it? Because I know that if I'm in that negative stress freaking out type point of view or perspective, I won't even be able to see the solution, even if it's right in front of my face, which incidentally is almost always right in front of my face. I almost always know what to do. And if I have the eustress, positive, curious emotions working for me and thoughts working for me, I can see it. If I have the freaked out, burned out, stressed out, negative ways and perspective and point of view and thoughts going through my head, I can't even see the solution. The same solution's always right there in front of me. It's always right there. It's like opportunities. Opportunities are around all of us all the time, but our brains and our thinking won't even let us see them if we're not ready for them. I hope that makes sense. If not, please hit me up and ask in the comments below. We need to create for ourselves, all of us as human beings, because we live in such an ever-changing dynamic world. And we have, not so much when I was a kid, but ever since the internet came into being, and now since AI has come into being, and crypto and all the other crazy things that vie for our attention, social media, the news, everything is just trying to take our attention, because if we pay attention to it, we're working on their goals. We're not working on our own. So we need to have our own toolbox of things that we can do when we feel stressed. Working with my middle granddaughter and youngest granddaughter too, they tend to have tantrums. I think they get a little too much positive attention sometimes. And so working with them to come up with their own toolkit of coping mechanisms for when they are frustrated or overwhelmed or stressed out. Because it's hard being a kid these days. I think it's way harder to be a child growing up right now than it was when I was a kid. We used to get to go outside and play. We'd just tell our mom, hey, we're going to go outside and play. And we would go outside and play unattended by an adult for literally the whole day sometimes. We'd usually show up back at home for lunchtime because we'd get hungry, or a snack or a drink or something. But the truth is, we used to run around the whole neighborhood when we lived in the city. And out in the country, I used to just take off and go for walks in the woods for hours at a time. And guess what? My mom didn't have to worry about me because she knew we were safe. Not that way today for kids. And I am the worst worrier about my granddaughters of anyone, which I know doesn't do anything but contribute to that negative stress and worry in situations. So we all need a toolbox of things to handle. Some of the things I do: go for a walk in nature, breathe, just get sunshine on my face, change my body, my physiology, something, listen to music, listen to a podcast, listen to or watch a video, an inspiring video or a motivational video, anything to get me out of the negative thought funk, I call it. So I like to ask myself, what is a current, okay, here's one for you. What is your current relationship to stress? On a daily basis, do you manage it or does it manage you? I will say, if you asked me in 2010, stress definitely managed me. And probably any time before 2010, stress managed me. Now, I manage stress more often than stress manages me. Am I perfect? Will I ever be? Probably not, because I have a very high energy, interesting personality that actually thrives on a little bit of chaos and a little bit of stress and things, because I like to fix things. I'm a fixer, right? I've been a coaching consultant for decades, and so that makes me a bossy fixer sometimes. Guess what? I was always bossy. I think I was born bossy, according to my family. They used to call me the organizer. All right. So what's your current relationship with stress? You could share that in the comments below. What chronic stressors could you eliminate from your life that really aren't serving you, but you can see the patterns of them coming up? I love looking for patterns in my current behavior. And then I like to find out, okay, where did that come from? And is it true for me still today? If not, I blow it up and I replace it with a more empowering thought or belief. I encourage you to do that as well. It's how we get rid of a lot of the stress, because guess what? Most of fear, doubt, worry, and stress is just junk we make up in our mind and with our thought patterns. It's not even real, right? We create everything based on what we think about it, what we assign meaning to, etc. And a lot of the time, the meaning we assign to something is absolute nonsense. How would your mental health and well-being change if you use stress to help you create the things that you want in your life, and you just minimize de-stress and stressors that are unnecessary, right? They just get in our way and block us from creating the life that we want, the relationships we want, the everything that we want. All right, what are we going to share today? We are going to share our favorite stress management technique. If you don't have any, put none, and we're going to find you one today. But otherwise, share your favorite one. My favorite one is probably just putting my face in the sun and taking a few slow, deep breaths, because that works immediately. It does so many things. It hits my physiology. It hits my peace of mind. It does so many things for me. And when we focus on our breathing, we're not focusing on the thing that's stressing us out. When whatever we choose to focus on, we get more of. So if I focus on that I'm freaking out over a situation and stressed out, guess what? It's going to get worse and worse and worse until what? Until I change my thinking and I change my response, my perspective, and my mind. It's really, we reclaim that personal power. It's super exciting. I challenge you to try it today. All right. Any questions? Hit me up and ask. Otherwise, have an awesome day. And I will, of course, be with you tomorrow.